Welcome to Steam Cuisine. I'm Bernadette and I'm the host of this channel. Today I want to talk about the major reason I'm such an enthusiastic proponent of gentle steam cooking, what I call gentle steam cooking. I make a very clear distinction to make sure you don't confuse steam cooking with pressure cooking, which is done with steam, right? But high pressure steam doesn't have the temperature as steam cooking in such a tool. Today, what we're going to talk about is first how a steam cooker is basically working like a sauna for your food, which is the main reason I use it, because like a sauna, it makes your food sweat, and when you sweat, it detoxifies your body. So when your food sweats, it's going to detoxify your food. So first one is, why is it important to lead a low toxin life? Second, what we want to avoid and why it's bad for us. Third, how we can avoid detoxing on a daily basis. 4, why is sweat such an important detoxification pathway for our body, and so by extension our food. And 5, the sauna effect, and whether or not gentle steam cooking actually does detoxify your food. And then we'll conclude our video. This video will be posted in 2 parts. Part 1 about leading a low toxin life. Part 2 about sweat as a means to detoxing body and food. This is part 1, leading a low tox life. First one, why is it important? So we all know that we are, in our recent modern lifestyle, are all exposed to a high quantity of pollutants in the environment, in our food, which can affect our health in the long run. So we can find all the toxins in air, like in dust. Some dust actually contain heavy metals like lead that we breathe in. You can get them through the skin, to the chemicals that you put on your cream, on your shampoo. Everything that you put on your skin is actually absorbed through your skin, so all the toxins go through there. You absorb it in water, especially if you don't filter it, and in food. So there are a lot of different kind of toxins like pesticides, which are, besides being proven carcinogenic, affect the balance of good and bad bacteria in your gut, which is really important for the strength of our immune system. So all of those toxins don't just add up. That would be great if we would add up, would just cut a few and give some kind of a balance. But sometimes they also can bind themselves together and react differently, and we don't always know what kind of reaction it's going to have on our health. So all this information here, it's not meant to scare you, it's to just open eyes so people actually try to manage what they can on a daily basis so they have a little less exposure, which will serve your health in the long run. And this is why I use this, because it's part of the tools I use to actually lead a lower toxic full life. So second is, what should we avoid and why it's bad. So chemicals, which are in like cleaning products, sometimes even green ones, in detergent, in soaps, in creams, all of these, we ignore the long-term effect that it can have on us. So going towards more clean options is probably a good step forward. Avoiding pesticides, meaning trying to go as organic as you can, which I know financially speaking is not always easy these days, because pesticides are bad for your gut health. They actually kill pests, so they also kill the bacteria, which the good bacteria is what builds our immune system, that what helps our body take in the nutrients we have in our food. So it's really important to make sure that they actually can get in and do their job. If we kill them with pesticide, our immune system is not strong as it could be. So, and they also have some proven carcinogenic effects on our health in the long term, especially GMOs, which are usually seeds that require a lot more pesticides than other seeds, which grow stronger and can withstand more adversity than GMOs. So GMOs are not only genetically modified, so we don't really know what kind of effect they're gonna have on us in the long term, but they're also more loaded in pesticides than most fruits and vegetables. Nitrates, which is used as an additive in a lot of meat, like cold cuts and stuff. The problem is that it can transform into toxic carcinogenic nitrosamine if you cook it in high heat, which usually is what they do when they process, or if you put it on a grill, for example. The nitrates are also present in produce, but we usually don't cook them in as high heat as we would meat, for example. And another one we should avoid are heavy metals, which we find in water. We have arsenic in water, sometimes in rice, cadmium, lead, mercury, which are all possible or confirmed carcinogen, depending on which one you talk about, and endocrine disruptors, which means that they are related to chronic illness, or at least suspected to be related to some chronic illness, and affect brain health. So it's very good to try to rely on a good water filter, so you can also reduce the toxic load in your food, or generally speaking. Also, what we should avoid are surface antibiotics, which kill, as I said earlier, our bacteria that help us get our nutrients in. So you have them on vegetable, at the surface of vegetables, and you have some in medication for some people who are more prone to some type of disease. You get doctors prescribe way too often antibiotics, especially when there are some other options that will be more natural and take care of your body without having to resort to them. So I was, for example, treated with antibiotics during labor, which I'm still recovering from. So it can really hurt your body and immunity and metabolism in the long run. What else do we want to avoid? Inflammatory fats. Usually those are in highly processed food, like all those seed oils that you have in processed foods have been heavily manufactured, chemically processed. Those are usually what you call trans fat that we try to prohibit in some products. But also meat fats, especially meat that hasn't been from animals that hadn't been fed natural foods. They will be fed corn, soy, and those kind of things. Those type of fats are more inflammatory to our body, and sometimes the animals are treated with chemicals and stuff like that. So those fats we should try to avoid as well if we can, and that's something that the steam cooker actually takes care of pretty well. And hormonal disruptors is the last one, which one that is very famous is BPA or bisphenol A. There are also phthalates that are in water. Plastic phthalate has those chemicals that actually makes plastic very how do you call that, bend easier, and those are also toxic. So when I cut my vegetables, I avoid plastic and put it on wood so it doesn't actually leak into my food. Hormonal disruptors is the last. So third part of this video is how do we actually avoid all these toxins, if we can avoid them all, because there are so many, it's really hard to avoid them all, right? So we can try to be a little more smart about the containers that we use, and instead of buying plastic which contain phthalate and BPAs and all type of other plastic derived stuff that we don't actually know are gonna affect our health. We try to use Pyrex, for example, which actually you don't have to replace all the time because unless you break it, it's pretty safe. You have stainless steel. This is easy for storage, leftover in the fridge. Actually, I use that fairly commonly to reheat stuff in my steam cooker, so it works really well. Instead of plastic wrap like that, you can use those wax-based covers. Or sometimes I just put stuff in a plate and cover it like this in the fridge and just finish it the same day or the day after. It works pretty well and it doesn't imply buying anything special. So we try to use less toxic stuff, which lasts longer and you don't have to buy them all the time. So in the long run, I think we end up saving money too. Also, we can choose skin products that are more natural and respectful, that contain less like parabens and some specific chemicals that I'll go back to and explain more in details, to not feed our skins things that might be toxic for it in the long run. If we can actually do that, sometimes we can choose clothing that are more natural. I usually shop a lot at the thrift store, so I don't always have the choice for that, but if I really want to buy something, I'll go try to be careful about those kind of things. Some people are very sensitive to polyester, for example, which is an oil-derived product, and they won't be able to actually wear those. And also, lifestyle-wise, what we can do is just move in a way that makes us sweat, because sweating is going to be one of those ways that the toxin gets out of our body. And the last way to avoid all those toxins will be to eat food that is less toxic. So make your own food is what it comes down to. If you can, if you have time, if you can organize around it, it takes little step by little step to get organized, but it's possible. I do it. I've been doing it for a long time, so I'm used to it, but it all depends on everybody's lifestyle and rhythm. So that's something that we have all to strive to and increasingly do for long-term health. So rinsing your produce when you buy produce, even if it's organic, rinse it always. Put some baking soda in water, rinse it, because it takes care of a good bit of its pesticides and toxins. Try to eat meat that's free of antibiotics. That also could help your digestive health, like chicken if you can. Try to avoid GMOs is important, but we don't always know what GMOs are. We don't know that fruit or vegetable is GMO always, so that can be a little tricky. The organic option is always a good one if you can afford it. Or sometimes there are some stores that have cheaper options of some organic food, so that's always a good way to go at first. And as I said, cooking your own food. And last but not least, make your food sweat when you cook it.
Join me next on a new episode of Steam Cuisine
comes in, which, as I explained in the other video before, I am not selling, I'm just advocating for. All this information, this is a little disclaimer, all this information is based on my personal research and experience. It's meant for information purposes only. I am a health coach, not your health coach. I'm not a doctor. And so please check the information, did your own research. You can ask me questions below. I'll try to respond to you. And if you want to rely on personal advice, I refer you to your own physician. I hope you enjoyed this video, that you got a lot of information, and that you will share with your friends that may be interested in it. Please subscribe to my channel. It gets more popular. It probably will reach more people and help them with their health too. I am also on Facebook at Joyeux Nutri Coaching, and on Instagram my channel is also Steam Cuisine, and I post pictures of what I make on an everyday basis to show what you can do with a steam cooker. So please follow me, share widely, and thank you for your attention. Bye bye.